Because sometimes you're not looking for a house. You're looking for the place where your family can exhale, a kitchen where ordinary days become memories, a doorway your children run through, a room where someone you love can stay when they need you, a space that finally feels safe, steady, and yours. And that changes everything. Because when we talk about buying a home, we usually begin with numbers: price, location, interest rates, bedrooms, square footage, monthly payments. And those things matter. They matter greatly, but they are rarely the whole reason someone begins searching. Underneath the numbers, there's almost always something deeper: the hope of belonging, the desire for stability, the dream of building a life that feels like home. Watch a child create a home. Give them a cardboard box, a blanket fort, a dollhouse, and they do not begin by asking about resale value. They do not calculate the square footage. They do not compare neighborhood statistics. They begin with life. Who lives here? Where will everyone sleep? Where will they eat? Where does the baby go? Where does the family gather? Children instinctively understand something adults often forget. A home is not primarily made meaningful by its walls. It is made meaningful by what happens within them. Then we grow up and we learn to speak about homes in a different language. We learn about down payments, inspections, appraisals, contracts, repairs, taxes, and market value. That language is necessary. It protects us. It helps us make informed decisions. But sometimes, in becoming so focused on the transaction, we lose sight of the transformation. Because people do not simply purchase property. They make decisions about the lives they hope to live. In my work, someone may tell me they need 4 bedrooms. But 4 bedrooms are not always about 4 bedrooms. One may be for the child they hope to have. One may be for the parent they expect to care for. One may be for the office that allows them to create a different future. One may simply represent room to breathe after years of feeling crowded. Someone may say they need a large kitchen, but often they're not imagining cabinets and countertops. They're imagining people. They see children doing homework at the table. They hear conversations during dinner. They picture birthday cakes, holiday meals, early mornings, and late night talks. They're not only looking for a kitchen, they're looking for a place where connection can happen. Someone may ask for land or a fenced yard, but beneath that request may be longing for privacy, freedom, safety. A place where children can play, a place where the noise quiets down, a place where life does not feel quite so rushed. The future is visible. The reason behind it is often deeply personal. And I believe every meaningful home decision contains 3 layers: shelter, stability, story. First, shelter. Can this home physically support the people who live there? Is it affordable? Is it safe? Is it functional? Can it meet their actual needs without quietly overwhelming them? A beautiful home is not the right home if maintaining it takes away someone's peace. More space is not always better if it creates more responsibility than a family wants or can carry. The goal should never be to purchase the most house possible. The goal is to choose a home that supports the life being built. Second, stability. This is not simply financial stability, although that matters. It is also emotional stability. There is something powerful about having a place where you can close the door and know that you belong there. A place where your children recognize the sound of your footsteps. A place where familiar routines begin to form. A place where life can settle. For some, homeownership represents independence. For others, it represents security after years of uncertainty. For someone else, it may be the first time in their family's history that they have owned the ground beneath their feet. That is more than a financial transaction. It's a shift in what feels possible. And third, story. Every home becomes part of the story of the people who live there. not because every day is beautiful. Home holds hard seasons too. They hold disagreements, illness, financial pressure, grief, and change. But they also hold recovery, laughter returning after a difficult year, children growing taller against a marked doorway, ordinary dinners no one photographs, quiet mornings, unexpected visitors, traditions that begin almost accidentally and continue for generations. A home does not create a perfect life, but it gives life a place to happen. This is also why selling a home can be more emotional than people expect. From the outside, it may appear that someone is selling a structure, but they may be releasing the place where they brought their baby home, the kitchen where a loved one once sat, the yard where their children grew up, the home where they became a family, or where they learned how to begin again. Sometimes selling is not about rejecting the life that happened there. It's about recognizing that the home served its purpose for one chapter and allowing it to become part of someone else's story. That kind of transition requires more than a sign in the yard. It requires clarity. It requires permission to grieve what is ending while still making room for what comes next. Because a home can carry our memories, but it was never meant to carry our entire identity. We take the deepest parts of us. So before beginning a home search, perhaps the most important questions is not, what kind of house do I want? Perhaps the better question is, what kind of life am I trying to support? What do I want an ordinary Tuesday evening to feel like? Where does our family currently feel pressure? What would help us live with greater stability? What are we willing to change? What are we unwilling to sacrifice merely for appearance? What do we want this home to make possible? Those questions do not replace financial wisdom. They strengthen it. Because when we understand the deeper reason behind a decision, we become less easily distracted by things that look impressive, but do not truly serve us. We stop confusing more with better. We stop treating someone else's definition of success as our own. We begin choosing with greater alignment. A home with the perfect finishes may not be the home that gives your family peace. The largest house may not provide the richest life. The most impressive address may not be where you feel most rooted. Sometimes the right home is the one that gives you enough room to grow without taking away your ability to live. Sometimes it's the one with the imperfect kitchen, but with the right community. Sometimes it's the smaller home that allows you to travel, give rest, and spend more time with the people inside of it. And sometimes the wisest decision is to wait, because homeownership should not be used as proof you have succeeded. Your worth is not measured by whether you own a home, how large it is, or what others think when they see it. A home is not the finish line. It is a tool, a foundation, a container for the life you are creating. It cannot make you whole, but it can give you life. It can give your life a place to take root. The quiet work that leads to receiving the keys often happens long before anyone celebrates with you. It happens when you begin saving, when you repair your credit, when you ask questions you're afraid you should already know, when you change old habits, when you make one difficult decision after another, when you keep preparing even though no one is watching. That is why the key can carry so much emotion. They are small, but sometimes they represent years of patience, sacrifice, courage, growth, and hope. The greatest part of receiving the keys is not simply opening the door. It is realizing what can begin on the other side. A new rhythm, a new chapter, a strong foundation, a place to belong, a place to grow, a place where people you love can exhale. Maybe that's what the child with the dollhouse understood all along. She was never merely arranging rooms. She was imagining a life. And perhaps that is what all of us are doing. not simply looking for walls, but looking for the space where our lives can unfold, where ordinary days can become meaningful, where stability can grow into opportunity, where opportunity grow into legacy, and where a house can slowly, quietly, beautifully become home. Because the house is never the whole story. The life you build within it is.